I will share my screen with you when it's time to do that, if we need to.
All right.
And we're live.
All right.
Or, well, Twitch is still sending data. I don't know. Okay, we're streaming. Hey, Jay, how's it going?
It's good. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. When was the last time we hung out? Was that 2019 in Poland?
In Poland.
Okay. Yeah. So that was cool. I know we did some stuff at the React Native Contributors Summit or whatever it's called, over at the CallStack offices, and then just kind of interacted throughout the rest of the conference. That was pretty cool. Where do you live?
Singapore.
You're in Singapore. How long have you been there?
Since just after that, it was November 2019. I came here.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. Right after that. Hey, Akil. Thanks for tuning in. By the way, Jay, if you want to, you can pull up the stream. Just have it muted or something if you want to see chat and stuff. I wish I could pipe restream chat over to ping. That would be cool. But yeah. So why'd you decide to go to Singapore?
Because my best friend lives here.
Oh.
Basically.
Okay.
And I like it a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd love to go. I've never been there. Everybody that I know from Singapore just seems really cool.
Yeah,
it's like really
nice
smart.
place.
I don't know. Like everybody I've met from Singapore is just like brilliant for some reason.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. They have a very good education system.
Yeah. 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 And then I grew up in Clatskanie, Oregon. Education system was actually pretty decent for how tiny the town was, but it was 1,700 people in the town. Like,
Wow, that's
you
so
knew
small.
everybody, Yeah, it's really small.
Yeah.
It's barely a
That sounds
town.
kind of nice, actually.
Yeah. It was until kind of drugs took over, but like when I was growing up it was pretty decent. Actually, it's coming back now. But there was a dark period, I know. It was pretty methed up. It's pretty sad.
Well, I'm from San Diego originally.
Okay.
Kind of deep in the suburbs.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. That's really cool. Who do you work for? Do you have your own thing?
My own thing, Legend.
So Legend is your thing. Okay,
Yeah.
and what's Legend?
It's a productivity app.
Okay.
Kind of a mixture of an outliner and a to-do list.
Okay.
And a document system and email and calendar and everything all in one.
I have... Okay, one problem with my setup here, my streaming setup, is that if I want to look at you instead of my side monitor, I have to have you in front of me. But then if I want to stream, I got to put other stuff in front of me. So yeah. I'm actually going to... I really hope this works. So I upgraded to the latest version of OBS, which is great. It's like way more performant with Apple Silicon, which is great. However, it appears that my Stream Deck buttons don't work, so I can't switch between coding view and non-coding view. But anyway, I am now in coding view, and in ping I will actually... Oh, you know what? I should probably silence my notifications. Don't want any embarrassing text to come through. All right.
That seems fair. I've got kind of a similar issue. You're on my MacBook, but my screen is over here.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're all going to be looking at... Actually, turn and look at your other screen right now. Yeah, okay, we're both looking at the like virtual screen too. So when we're coding, it looks like we're looking at what we're coding.
Okay, that is nice. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna zoom in so people can see a little better. I have a 5K display, so it's rather large. Hey, Derek. Derek says hi.
Hello.
Derek is Derek Greenberg, of course, guest coordinator. So you were chatting with him a little bit.
Yeah.
Derek is fantastic. If I can convince him to come on the stream a little bit here and there, I will. He's a background guy. He likes to be in the background, but I love having him on. So do more deep work. Legend is designed for you to work the way you do and be the one place for all your productivity needs. So how big's your team? Is it just you, or do you have other people on your team?
It's currently mostly me.
Mm-hmm.
I have some friends are helping me with marketing.
Okay.
And strategy, but I'm the sole developer at this point.
Derek says he'd love to come on, so I'm twisting his arm in public, and it's working. This is good. Hey, Danny. Danny is the maintainer of React Native storybook. So he is in the chat. We got some people rolling in here, which is great. And we did get a comment from YouTube and Twitch, so that means that both of those are running at least. Twitter replies don't come through here, so I won't see those until later. So this is kind of interesting. I know we're here to talk about Legend State, but I'm going to talk about Legend for a little bit. Because why not? It's my stream.
I'm fine with that. It's my company.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So first impressions when I look at this, do more deep work. Okay. So it looks like you have an inbox here. So it must connect to your email. Mm-hmm. And then you can move emails into your tasks, like a task outline. And you can move tasks into your calendar. Okay, that right there is ridiculously cool. Just right off the bat.
Yeah,
hey, Chakri.
People like that animation quite a bit, yeah. that
is really cool. Hey, Mateo, Legend State. I want to know how it's different from Mobx. We are going to get into that. We are definitely going to get into that. But in the meantime, we're going to look at this app because I'm very intrigued. I want to see. So one of the things that stops me from using like another email client is that I have a plugin called Streak, an extension called Streak that is like a CRM, and it only works when you're on the Gmail web view. So I have to use Gmail web view. However, would you say that you could still use this even if you're using Gmail web view, generally speaking? Not with it, but like alongside it.
Alongside, yeah. Generally, the way people use it is to save emails for later. So if you have an email that's related to a task or something like that, you just put it next to the task, and then you can always refer back to it.
Okay.
You can put it on your calendar, get back to it later, that kind of thing.
Okay. That makes sense.
So yeah, it's at this point not designed to be a primary email client. It's more of a...
It's more like it's a source.
You can use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can source tasks, and then... Okay, so that's really interesting. Focus on what matters. Okay. Filters and sorting, panes your urgent tasks across your different projects so you're on top of everything. That's good. I was trying to remember what I needed to work on this week, this morning.
That's always the hard thing. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I have a few things, but I'm sure I'm missing something important. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. So the idea that's kind of trying to explain is that you can have multiple panes side by side.
Whoops.
And so you
okay,
can
right
have
here.
One
yeah.
that's like, you could have one it's showing on the left is just everything that you put down. Yeah. And then you're going to have other ones that are filtered or viewed in different ways. So you could say, show me only the high priority things, or show me like things that are tagged with three different
like hiring
or a high priority, that kind of stuff.
Your agenda. And then this is like everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's easiest just to write it like a document, but then you can just view the document in different ways.
I did not see that. To get to a new to-do, you just backspace or whatever and get to...
Just press enter.
Just press enter a couple times and now you're in a new context. It's like you're writing a Notion document or something.
Yeah. Yeah. And it uses Markdown, so it's easy to just...
Oh, it does.
Hashtag space, you got a header, that kind of thing.
That's really cool. Okay, so Legend integrates the tools you need in one interface. You can stop switching between apps. Documents, notes, to-do lists, emails, files, outlines, projects all live beautifully together. So you have, oh, you just dragged in like an email into into this and it linked it. Okay, that's really neat.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
and then
really
the
neat.
end of this animation shows you click on it and it just opens the email right there.
I want to see this. Legil says, oh, that's cool. Yeah, okay. So there's the, yeah. Legil says, less boilerplate, and I'm in. Done with Redux. Yeah, we'll get to that. Create boards for every context. Okay. So you have different boards over there. Okay. So you can kind of organize things that way. 80,000 legend users. Documents, prioritize schedule, powerful workflows. I assume you use this every single day. You dog food this.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, all the time.
Yep. Very cool. So you have a free one with 6 panes, but you can bring in $5 a month. You've got a pro for $9 a month, and then you have a lifetime for $349. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. I tried to go for kind of a similar concept to Zoom's pricing.
Okay.
Basically, you can use it for free, and it's great, but then you just hit limits at some point.
Yeah.
So Zoom's, I think, 45 minutes, and then like,
yeah.
I'm using this product so much, I should just pay for it. That was kind of what I was going for.
Freemium style, yeah.
It's extremely useful for free.
Okay.
And at some point, you're like, oh, I wish I could have more panes.
Okay.
I'm going to go for the higher tier.
This is staying up because I'm going to actually try it out and see how it works. I can't guarantee it'll work for my workflow
awesome.
Just because of the whole CRM thing. But with that said, I love this idea. It's very cool. So you created Legend State. Now, before that, you had something else. It was Legend... what was
Motion.
it? Legend Motion. It was more animation focused.
Yeah.
And I assume you needed it for this.
Kind of funnily, I didn't actually use it for Legend at all.
Okay.
I also work on another app called Bravely.
Okay.
Which, if you're curious, is bravely.io.
Okay. And this is also your app, or you?
I'm the lead developer.
Okay, I see. Yep.
Yeah. So that is a mental health care app.
Ooh, okay. That's cool.
And so I built an animation system for that, and it was really useful.
Right.
So I thought, well, I should open source this.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
because I developed Legend is entirely web. So I do a lot of Framer motion in there, and then I just wanted that API in mobile because it's so much easier than animated.
Yeah.
So I just made that API on mobile, basically.
Okay. Okay. That's awesome. By the way, I forgot to announce that I'm streaming in our Slack community, so I need to go and do that really quick. Sorry about that. Are you in the... You aren't in our Slack community.
I'm not. I could be. Should I be?
Yes. 2,000 React Native developers in a Slack community. It's awesome.
Okay.
It's actually not too much volume. It's like the right amount of volume, in my opinion.
Okay. How do I join it?
Community.infinite.red should work. Not that we have to do this right now, but you know, why not? We're in kind of like a chill thing. By the way, the design nomad says, hey, it's Jay Meistrich.
Oh yeah, that's my friend in Singapore.
Oh, sweet. Awesome. Welcome, design nomad. Legio says, out of context question, just came to know about React Native 0.70 is released. What's your question, Legio? Is that a question or is that a statement? Because it is released. 0.70 is released. Yep. There we go. Okay, cool. So I did announce this in our Slack community here. And then I also like to internally post it as well for the Infinite Red folks who like to attend my streams. All right. So you built Legend Motion.
So I built that for Bravely.
By the way, if you're Googling these things, just put JS at the end. It'll show up. If you don't put JS, then you're gonna get something else. Like if I go Legend Motion, well, okay, if it is there now, I don't know if it would have been otherwise.
Oh,
but
that's cool.
Like maybe that's personalized or something. But yeah. Is it a major?
In your Slack community. Hello.
Okay, sweet. Legio says, is it a major update or just some minor performance improvements? Oh, you know what I just realized? This is confusing for people. I've got it behind the other chat. I'm going to move it to my other display. That's going to be too confusing. Okay. Is it a major update or some minor performance improvements? Best way to find out, and you know this already, I know, Legio, but I'm going to go there anyway. React Native Upgrade Helper right here. And then let's go 69.5 to 70, and let's take a look. Some bumps. The main app.js has a little tiny change. Looks like there's a Hermes is now on by default rather than false. Changed to CMake apparently instead of NDK build. So there's a difference there. CMake there. CMake, and then there's it deleted a file there. CMakeList.txt is a new thing where you apparently this right here. I forget which one it replaces. I think it might replace this file. I could be wrong. But I think that, yeah, I think it replaces this file. So instead of having 48 lines of code, it just has basically 3. So that's pretty cool. And then there's there's a couple of changes to the main application module provider.c++ and the header file and some other tiny things. Some updates here, nothing too big. Yeah, it looks pretty reasonable to me. So if you're already on 69, then make that change.
Seems like an easy upgrade.
Yeah, I would think so as well. All right. My whole Legio says, I'll wait for your podcast explaining React Native 70. So I'm not going to be on that one, by the way. I have a funeral to go to tomorrow. So I will not be recording that one. It'll be Mazen and Robin. They will be handling that. Legio. Okay. So Legend Motion is here, and it's really cool. It basically gives you more of a declarative thing. I mean, the nice thing is just like the API, in my opinion. Like that's the coolest thing, and that's I think one of your strengths, Jay, is your API design.
Yeah. Well, I pretty much copied the Framer Motion API on that.
Okay. Actually, you're a master copier. But I do like using your stuff. So, but yeah,
okay.
High performance. That's another big thing. 0 dependencies, minimal code, maximum performance. So you're really into that, right, Jay?
Yeah. I started my dev career as a game developer, so that kind of built high performance into me. Because my first job, I was coding for a GameCube, so you have to be super careful with performance on consoles. So it just kind of built that into me from the beginning.
Why do you think that most like just straight up web developers are not as good at performance versus like a game developer?
I don't think they've learned it, is my guess.
Yeah. It's
not a primary goal.
Mm-hmm.
And my my co-founder of Legend, who's since left, he worked at Microsoft on Internet Explorer as it became Edge. So he taught me a lot about how browsers work under the hood.
Yeah. So chat's wondering how Legend Motion is different than Moti?
The main difference is Moti uses reanimated, and Legend Motion just uses animated built-in.
That's a pretty big difference. If you're not using reanimated already, you can skip that dependency, which is a fairly heavy one.
Yeah.
By just
and then
using.
Also it supports some things that reanimated can't do, like animating SVGs and gradients and stuff.
That's amazing. That's incredible.
It's surprisingly high performance. We have a full screen gradient animation that just looks great.
That's great. Heavy use of gradients and SVG animations. Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool. So, does this have native dependencies, or is it all JS?
It's all JS. It just uses animated. Doesn't do anything crazy.
That's pretty amazing. Mateo asks, do SVGs have to have the same number of points?
I don't know, actually. I don't remember.
Okay.
It's been a little while since I worked on that.
Yeah. We're not here to talk about this necessarily, but I did want to look at it because it's pretty neat. Cannot mix native and non-native animations. That's a limitation of React Native. Yeah. Yep. Transform origin do not work on SVG if it's a percentage. Okay, not bad. So yeah, they're very, very cool. Okay, the other piece of this that I want to look at is Legend State. So this is what we're here to actually talk about. So some people may know that I'm the primary maintainer of Mobx State Tree. I'm a big fan of Mobx. I like Mobx a lot. And why did you decide to make Legend State when Mobx existed? I'm really curious about that because I know it's better in a lot of ways. There's some really cool things about Legend State, but where were you on that?
It's kind of shifted over time as I've worked on it. It started as Mobx just seemed too heavy to me, so I just never really got into it.
Yeah.
And so I've actually had an observable state system in Legend since 2014, I think.
Okay.
And so I've been using that this whole time. And then when I started working on Bravely, I just used that. And then that was all kind of inspired by Knockout because I switched over from Knockout to React back in 2014, 15.
Yeah.
And so yeah, then I just spent a couple weeks just trying to make this thing as fast as possible.
Yeah.
And so I built it for Bravely, and the original plan was to be focused on persistence.
Yep.
So we use it as the layer for syncing everything with Firebase and saving everything to local cache.
Right.
Doing the conflict resolution and all that good stuff.
Right. Okay.
And so then as I was making that, I was thinking I should open source it, and my friend said, "Oh, you should benchmark it and see how it benchmarks."
Yeah.
And I did that, and it was mediocre at best. And that just sent me down a rabbit hole of just rewriting it probably 20 times to try to make it faster. And then it was your tweet about why Mobx is better because of the observe HOC. Then I kind of rewrote the whole thing again that way. Yeah. So it kind of evolved towards being similar to Mobx, I guess, but it was not intended to be that way from the beginning.
I'm going to see if I can find that tweet.
I woke up to that one day, and it just kind of blew my mind a little bit.
Let me see. I'm trying to find the tweet off screen right now. Okay. I know I have notifications, folks. I tweeted, see, the thing is I tweeted a joke and it kind of caught on. Did you see it?
What was the joke?
This one.
Oh yeah, yeah, I did see that. That was good.
So now my notifications are just constant.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. By the way, I had tweeted a picture of this, or not tweeted it, I sent a picture of this into a chat I'm in, and this guy right here made some crack about it, and it made me think of this, so it's kind of his fault. But yeah, I was ranting about selectors. That was my big thing. Because it just like the fact that we're still using selectors when we have proxies available in JavaScript it just blows my mind a little bit. Like, really, we can make this observable, you know, like it doesn't have to be, we don't have to manually specify everything like it's 2016 here. So,
yeah.
So I just ranted about it.
At that time, I didn't even know about how proxy worked at the time that you ranted about it. I had built my initial thing.
Yeah. Based
on how I had done it back in 2014.
That's what I'm saying. Like, everybody's like, we're coding like it's 2014. It's nothing on you guys. Like, obviously it's an I feel like proxy is one of those things that usually when you hear about it, it's something bad. Like, if you ever hear about JavaScript proxies, it's why it's not a good thing. And
I had some kind of a preconceived notion that they were slow.
Yeah.
And so I just never considered.
That's another one. Yeah. Yeah. That they're slow.
And then I did some benchmarking and it turned out it was actually faster than the other approach.
Isn't that crazy? It's wild. Yeah.
My previous approach was just making a lot of instances of classes.
Yeah. And
so it turns out just proxying a tiny object is much faster than that.
DJ Cool Software says you've made a mistake. I've heard about proxies. No, I don't know if this is related. Oh, that's like a minute later. Says, I've heard about proxies, but no idea what happens there. Can you talk about why proxies fix the problem that selectors solve? And before we do that, Miguel asks, is Legend State ready for production? You could probably answer that pretty quickly.
It's getting close to production. I just released a big update today that was tons of breaking changes, trying to get it to be stable and no more breaking changes.
Yeah.
I think in the next couple weeks, I should be able to claim it's ready for production.
Okay.
We are using it in production at Bravely, and it's working pretty well.
Yeah, yeah.
For other people, maybe start playing with it, and maybe it can be ready for production. I'm aiming for a 1.0 pretty soon.
My assumption is if someone runs into a problem, you're going to prioritize it. You're going to like fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So in my opinion, that means it's ready for production. Because like, if you can report a bug and it's fixed within a week and you're good to go, like, what's the problem? You know?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
and there's like 150 something tests, so it's
yeah. Let's go back to proxies for a second. So first off, I'm going to close this. But let's just look up JS proxy. I realize this feels a little ADHD, but that's just who I am. So we're just going to keep rolling with it. We learn together, we explore, we look at stuff. Create a proxy for another object which can intercept and redefine fundamental operations for that object. it allows you to do like getters, setters, defining properties, commonly used to log, validate, format, sanitize, and so on. And what's not in here is observe.
Yeah.
Which I think is probably the most common way I've ever used a proxy. So you have a target, which is the object, and you have a handler that is the proxy object, basically. Or it's the proxy manages the two, but the handler kind of like allows you to configure how it works. So this target is just some random, I don't know why they say message 1 and message 2, but let's just say, actually let's do one over here. Let's do one. I love Code Sandbox. It's my favorite thing ever. Absolutely love it. I'm just going to go with vanilla TypeScript here. And then I'm going to, how do I close this? I'm just going to, I guess, pull it down. All right, there we go. All right, so so const user equals, this is kind of the normal thing. Jamon, age 40. Okay, so we have this user here. And then we have a handler here. And feel free to pipe in anytime, Jay. I'm just talking out loud.
Yeah.
So proxy here. So this will be the user. And this is going to be like observable user, let's say. And then handler one's fine. So if we were to right here update this to be like observable user dot name, and then pull this up here, it says Jamon right there. Actually, I'm going to do this. Cool. Sorry. I don't know if you can hear the music. You probably can't, Jay.
No.
But once in a while, I get a song on that's putting me to sleep or making me anxious. So I got to make a change. Okay. Okay, so it's just this observable user is just, it's like wrapping right there. And so it works fine, right? Now, let's say that we define a get thing here. So within here, we can basically intercept this here. So in this case, has target prop receiver, what is it? Oh, it doesn't like that that we haven't defined what that is. So now you can see that it's, whoops, refresh. Hello world, or I'll say here like J, okay? So the user is supposed to be Jamon, but when you say .name, it says hello J.
So just to clarify a little bit, so the get there, target would be the observable user.
That's the object itself.
Name. Yeah.
And the prop
so
is
then
name.
You can intercept, you're trying to access name on the user.
Let's go prop. Hello name. What was receiver? Is that?
I believe it's the proxy itself, but I don't actually use that, so I'm not entirely sure.
So it's a symbol. All right, let's keep looking at it. It's sometimes called traps. They trap calls to the object. We can give accessors the original behavior and redefine others. So for the reflect, return, reflect, get. So so what we can do here, this would be kind of like, oh, wait a minute here. So this continues to just return the object or what you already had. So if I can say right here, if prop equals age, return 25. And so now I can go here and say observable user.age. So it uses the default for name, and then it like changes the name or the age right there.
Yeah.
DJ says, and so we use proxies to like cache and work with state as an immutable object or something. It doesn't have to be immutable. In fact, proxies, I think, they kind of allow you to almost make it look like it's or like a mutable object, but have a bunch of behaviors attached to it and stuff. So, and DJ says, I guess I'm curious why state libraries need proxies at all. Let's talk about that. So let's say that you have this name thing and you want to re-render anytime name changes. And I'm not in a React thing here, but like normally you would have to do like a selector, which tells it, hey, we're using name. So re-render when name changes. And with a proxy, you can just track that name is being used. So here's an example. Let's have watched props. And then it's just an empty array. And then all I have to do is say watched props.push prop. And then I'm going to over here watched properties, and then it'll be watched props.join. So you can see that it detected that we're using name and age. And if I remove this right here, it's only watching the name. So now we know what's being used in here. And all I have to do to change that is literally just access another one. And now it knows that we're accessing another property. That's pretty much how, is this kind of how it's working under the hood, Jay?
Yeah, basically. So what it does is whenever you access a primitive, then it tracks it. But if you access an object, it does not track it.
Yep. That makes sense. And again, I have to dislike a track on my music. DJ says, that's rad. I think I finally understand why proxies are important to state management. So otherwise you have to use selectors. You have to say literally more or less watched props equals name age. You have to literally say that.
Yeah.
And when you have a proxy, you just delete that line. You're done.
So the other thing that's interesting about proxy, which is I think what legend state does differently, is that you don't actually have to return anything related to the original object. You can just return something else completely. And so legend state proxies just node information. And then when you access the node, it returns the object that's at that path.
Explain a little more. I'm not sure I'm following.
Okay, so let's say you have observable user.name. So you would say observable user is a node,
okay,
and it has a child named name.
Okay.
And here's the proxy for it.
Oh.
And so when you go and access the proxy for observable user, you're getting basically an object that has children as a map. And so then you can say, okay, the children map for name is this other thing. And so then that refers to a different node. And so then when you go and access it through the proxy, it goes into the other object tree, basically.
Okay.
So the purpose of this is so we don't mess with the original data at all. So the proxy is just proxying a path. And so then you can say like, oh, you went to observable user.profile.name. Now go to the original object, give me profile.name from it. And so we don't have to mess with the original data at all.
And then it would go and basically go like user, profile to find the actual information.
Then it goes
to get the actual data. It would find it that way, but it knows the path that way.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, that's very cool. So let's actually play with it. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. And that also has another interesting property is that you can access undefined nodes
Mm-hmm.
because they're not actually in the object. You're in kind of a separate tree. So you can say like, give me the node for profile.name. Even if profile doesn't exist, you can still have a reference to that path.
Okay.
So once it does exist, you'll then get notified for it.
Okay. So it's almost like you're setting up you're presetting that up.
So you could, yeah, like you could have a profile, you could have a React component for the profile
Mm-hmm.
that gets user.profile.name. But at startup, profile.name doesn't have to exist.
Okay.
It can come in from the server. And then once it comes in, it fires the notification to the proxy looking at that path.
You're subscribing to something that doesn't exist yet but may exist in the future, and once it actually exists, then it fires it. That's super powerful.
Yeah.
That's super powerful.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Yeah.
Okay, so let's install this. Is it legend state, or what is it?
It's at legend app /state, and I think you'll want to do at next.
Let me.
I made a change today just for you.
Nice. Okay. Legend app state at next. See if it does it.
Yeah. Should be 0.16.
It went to next 15.
Did it not go out? Well, let me check that actually released properly. Oh, it didn't.
Okay. I'll wait for you to get that retagged.
NPM is asking for the OTP. And it's been sitting there for hours. Okay. Now it's released.
Oh, I'm in the wrong one. No, that's socket. Why? Okay, anyway, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to kill that. At legend app state at next, enter. Nope, still cached or something.
Yeah, I've seen this before.
What's the version? 16?
0.16.
0.16. It may or may not.
.o-next.0.
.0?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
All right.
It claims that's right, but then it shows 15. I think because that dropdown doesn't have it. So we should be okay. All right, cool. Okay, so we're going to do a really basic one here. Normal objects you can read and write and listen to for changes. Okay, cool. So so we're going to grab observable out of, or tell me if I'm doing this wrong, but.
That's right.
Okay, we grab observable here. And we're going to create one. So const state equals observable. And we're going to, in this case, we're going to be like, we're going to be, here's an example. We're going to be watching, we got to do state for how many people are watching this stream. So viewers, we're going to start with 0. And then maybe like the stream title. I don't know, we could add other stuff later, but maybe like duration. Okay, so this will be duration in seconds. So that's going to update like every second. So we have our observable, okay. Oh, in your case, you actually went deeper too, which would be kind of interesting.
Go infinitely deep.
Yeah. Let's do this. Let's do this. Stats. So we've got stream, let's just go title. Stream state. That's better. So, you can just set things.
Yeah, so observable has 3 levels of safety now.
Okay.
So in unsafe mode, you can just set to whatever you want.
Okay.
In safe mode, you can only use the set function to set things.
Mm-hmm.
And then in default mode, which is what you get with no parameters, you can assign to primitives, but you have to use set for an object.
You can do what? Sorry, say that again.
Like you can assign to primitives just like that, like text or string or integer or number or boolean.
Okay.
But you cannot assign directly to an object. The theory being that that's probably a bug. So you would need to use .set instead.
So if I were to update the stats, if I were to do stats equals, this would be wrong.
Yeah. So if you create the observable with false as the second parameter, that'll work fine. But
can I assign to stats because it's read only?
Yeah.
But title's fine.
So it's trying to prevent bugs basically. So this is the default level of safe mode. So if instead of that you use .set on stats,
then it's more intentional.
Yeah.
Whoops. Okay, now it's telling me can't invoke an object which is possibly undefined.
Really? I haven't seen that before.
Interesting. But I can do that.
Yeah. I wonder if there's some TypeScript super strict mode it's in that does that. I should look into that.
Yeah, I've noticed that Code Sandbox comes with, a pretty strict setup here.
Oh, okay.
So if I go back to set viewers duration stream state dot stats dot duration plus 5. Looks like it's working now. Yeah, cool. So
I'll look into strict mode. Interesting.
That's really like seamless. That's really nice. Yeah, it was saying that that stats could possibly be undefined.
Yeah.
So but stream state, the observable object has the shape that you want it. It infers that, which is great.
Yeah.
Let me ask you.
If you access the primitive, it returns the primitive directly.
So, okay, so
like if you log stats.viewers, it's just the number.
Yep, there you go, 99. That's what we wanted.
But the interesting thing there is you can call set on the primitive directly. It overrides the prototype of number so that you can call set on it.
What the heck? How are you doing that?
You can override prototypes of number and string and boolean.
Are you serious? Like
and
Ruby,
so,
like you're yeah. In here. No way.
Yeah. So basically it's tracking the last node that you were accessing.
Yeah.
And so if you call set on a primitive, it checks, is the value of the primitive that you're accessing the same as the last node that was accessed? And if it is, then it calls the function on the node. So this calls set on the viewers node, basically.
It checks if the value is the same?
Just to prevent mistakes here.
Okay.
Let's say the last node you access was state.viewers. And now
there would be no way
for viewers.
There would be no way for you to call set on something that you haven't accessed. Well, okay.
Well, it's if you just like had a random number. So if you just type in like 1.set, you wouldn't want to be trying to do observable stuff.
Correct.
So it just tries to make sure that you were calling set on the correct node, basically.
Does this work?
No. If you look at the type for viewers, it's number and observable.
Yeah.
So it's able to put the functions on that because it's number and observable primitive functions.
Okay, I'm just trying to break it. I'm just trying to break it right now because it's ridiculous to me that that's a thing. So error calling function set.
It's pretty wild.
So that doesn't work.
No.
And yet this is okay. Wow. Okay, that's really cool. It's very natural. You know, I'm just thinking in terms of the underlying architecture. As far as doing this, it just feels natural. Now, like you said, you can do, if you're not like in your more strict mode, you can just do this too.
Yeah.
Is there any downside to doing this?
No.
Okay.
It does the same thing.
Okay. Let's look at observer.
But then there's some, my theory was kind of like how Mobx tries to make you do all the actions through, state tree.
Yeah.
Tries to prevent you from assigning to things.
Yep.
It may be that you don't want to accidentally assign into state.
Right.
So you want to make it more purposeful, where you have to call set. Like I'm
right.
intending to do this. You wouldn't want to prevent it. You wouldn't want to do it on accident.
That is correct. Whoops, stats.
Yeah. But actually, before we get into observer.
Yeah.
So at the end of viewers there, just type .obs.
Where?
In the React component, where you just put it in the JSX.
Call it?
Yeah, call it. And so that is now reactive. So if you set it, it'll update.
I have something. Own keys called on non-object.
Huh. Well, this might. Come to think of it, I've only tested this with strings.
Okay, let's do it with a string. Let's do it with a string.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. This is really interesting. This is a new thing. I haven't seen this.
Yeah, just today.
You just wanted to blow my mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, this came after I saw the Preact signals announcement. So this does pretty much something similar to that.
No way. Okay, so let's go title equals ADHD jumping from question to question, which is mostly what we're doing here. And I set it for 5 seconds. Wait, did I might need to refresh it. And I'll set it to 2 seconds here. Okay, I'm not getting it updating.
That is disappointing. Huh.
Did it update? Let me. It's probably not gonna let me.
Oh. No, I'm just realizing this is done in the import for observer. So you probably actually need to import observer. That's probably why it's not working. That's something I should fix.
I might have to use it. It's probably getting cut out.
Yeah, you have to use it somewhere. Well, that's an interesting bug I should fix. Thanks for that.
Yep.
Huh. Well, this is extremely disappointing.
Yeah. Wait, why is it even saying this?
Oh, sorry. Sorry, observer is in the /react export.
Oh. Like this?
State/react. Yeah.
And maybe I don't need the console log then. All right, let's try this again. All right.
You probably do need the console log, I think. Just make I think call it just to make sure.
Just call it.
Yeah.
It doesn't want. Oh, I have an extra thing. That's why. It's not. It doesn't want me to do that.
Just give it a function.
Yep, it worked. There it is. Boom.
All right. Yeah.
So,
sweet.
You'll fix that.
Yeah, I'll fix that.
And in fact, can we just? I'm really curious. It did work when I just imported like this.
Okay, that makes sense.
Which isn't the end of the world as a thing. Just say, okay, do this in order to make this. Because
I could also just have a configure function that sets it up or something.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
Okay, so so this was inspired by Preact signals.
Yeah. So I didn't realize this was possible until I saw that, but basically you can pass an object into React, and then React calls certain properties on it. So it tries to get $type of, and it tries to, and then it needs to get the props, and it needs to get the ref, and it has a type.
Okay.
So from type, I return a component, which is an observer that watches the observable.
Okay. Interesting.
So when you just call OBS like that, that converts it from a primitive to an object, and then it extracts that as a separate component.
Okay.
So just what's inside the brackets becomes its own component.
Very interesting. I'm going to look at that in just a second here. Excuse me. I'm going to try something here. So stream state stats dot duration is going to add 1, and then
you got no timeout on that interval.
Oh geez.
So okay, so it does work on numbers. Okay. Yeah, it was just because we didn't have the import. That's good.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. Okay, so that is sick. That is super cool. Let's go to React Dev Tools.
Just that number is a reactive component. Oh, I think. Oh, that's cool. The dev tools are calling into the proxy and causing errors.
Okay, I see. So reflect get on. Yeah, so it's calling the proxy, not the component.
Yeah, because well, this is all kind of new to me, but I'm guessing that the element in React is actually the proxy object.
Okay.
And so then DevTools is trying to access that proxy object.
Right.
So I need to add some handling for that, I think.
Okay. Yep. Totally makes sense. So I have loading stream, and then it pops in. We've got this duration happening. We got viewers right here. And and we no longer need the observe function.
Well, you would still want the observer for more complicated components.
Okay.
So this makes it easy to just deal with primitives, but
because you couldn't,
if you have arrays or objects or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Let's actually do that. Let's say let's say platforms. Okay, and then stream state dot platforms dot. I'm actually going to be able to push YouTube. And Twitch and Twitter, let's say. So in this case, I'm going to have to do stream state platforms map platform, and we'll say so this is just going to be what am I missing here? I'm missing something.
A key? I think it's the key. And a parentheses. There's no end parentheses.
Oh, thank you. So in this case, it did not update because the platforms were pushed in later. So this is a situation where we need observe.
Yeah.
So used to putting, so observe.
It's observer.
It is observer. Okay.
Yeah.
Which is the same as Mobx state tree, or Mobx React, I should say. And in this case, it wants a key as well. So refresh, loading stream, bang, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. Now we no longer need these. However, with that said, yeah, it continues to work. With that said, the OBS probably, if I had to guess, allows you to avoid updating the whole, well, maybe it's re-rendering the whole thing.
No, it only re-renders just that text.
It does.
Yeah.
I don't believe you.
Okay.
In other words, I'm going to go check. And if it is true, then it's going to blow my mind. So just going to put let's do here. So no way.
Oh yeah.
No way. That is awesome. So normally what I would tell people is, oh yeah, go make your own little component and put it in there so that you're only re-rendering that component when you're doing this. You're like, no, just put .obs at the end, you're done.
Yeah. So let's take this a little bit farther now. The platforms.map, wrap that in a component named memo, capital M-E-O, M-O. That's exported from the React.
Wait, what? Memo?
Yeah, there's a component that's exported from React. It's just called memo.
Okay. All right. And then what? Oh, wait, you
just
like memo here?
Sorry, it's a little bit laggy. Yes, yeah, just put it there. So just wrap the array map in that.
I don't know why it's still complaining to me.
It needs to be a function. So just an empty function that returns the map.
Whoops.
There's a Babel plugin that makes you not need the function, but by default you need a function.
That's fine. Okay, refreshing. This render didn't change.
Yeah. Because memo extracts that into a separate tracking context. And so that no longer re-renders the parent.
Does that mean I can get rid of this?
Yeah.
No way. I'm trying to think of when you would still need observer. I guess if you're doing stuff up here in the header part.
There's still plenty of reasons, yeah.
But it doesn't hurt to have it there.
It just creates a little bit more of a component tree because that wraps it in memo.
Yeah.
And then there's an extra observer function.
Right.
So it adds a little bit of overhead, but it's not a huge deal.
Flexbox says, "What's a div? I thought we used view." Yeah, just translate in your mind. I know this is an inferior version. It's not React Native. But
yeah, this all works in React Native.
Yeah. This is freaking amazing, Jay. I am blown away
it's pretty
right
cool,
now.
Right? Yeah. So just so you know, memo completely memoizes everything in there, so it won't take local state anymore. And rendering the parent will not re-render that. There's another thing called computed, which is similar, except it does not memoize the children. So if the parent re-renders, the child will re-render. But if the child re-renders, the parent does not re-render.
Makes sense.
So if you had local state in there, it would still re-render the children. So that you would use that if you have some kind of local state that the computed stuff accesses.
Is there any downside to using computed over memo always? I guess it'll just re-render that.
It would just re-render the
when the whole tree.
Renders.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really cool. Yeah, the memo component comes from legend state / React here. By the way, one render here, just FYI. We populated the title separately. We pushed in the platforms 3 times. Bang, bang, bang. Yeah, no, this is crazy. Let me see if I can do something here. No, that won't work. Hold on. Let platform renders. Let's do this. We're doing kind of a let's see here. Oh, not minus. What am I doing? I want to have to do this inside of. It's not going to let me. Okay, let me think about this again. I mean, this is fine. It's just not quite exactly what I want.
You could return a fragment from that.
True. Yep. Oh, you're saying outside of that. Okay, yeah. Yeah,
I'm seeing your video just.
It's a little. It's I know, and
screen is slightly delayed from you. So.
Yeah, and I'm also not doing a very good job of this too, but got a mismatch here on parentheses. I want to say, or something.
It's the curly brace, I think.
Need another curly. Yeah, that's it. Okay, cool. So let me refresh here. So 4 is what I got. Now, if I were to just push 1 and I refresh 2, 4. Okay, so what's interesting is it didn't matter that I pushed in multiple times. It just re-rendered once. Now that might be a React batching thing, because now React 18 has batching built in. Do you do any sort of optimization of re-renders, or do you just kind of kick off re-render, re-render, re-render?
There is a batch function.
There is, okay. How would I do that?
So you can do, it's just batch.
Okay.
So hopefully it just imports. Yeah, so call it as put a function and then call all of them within the function.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what's interesting is it doesn't actually affect it, but that's okay. I think batch would have been more important prior to React 18, where React 18 batches. What's that?
The observable system is also not necessarily entirely tied to React. You might still use it for like computed variables.
Oh, okay, sure, yeah. So it'd still be a good idea.
If you have a computed like a first name and a last name, you would want a batch setting both of them.
Yeah, yeah. Danny says nice stuff. Yeah, that's really good. And I like the naming here. So where I would see this probably being more useful is, let's say we have an action. So function hydrate state or something, new state. So we're getting some state right here. It would be new state dot title, and then I don't know, set new state dot platforms or something like this.
Yeah.
And so you're out here like pretending to fetch from an API, and then you go hydrate state. Whoops. And we're just gonna give it like the title will be Jamon and Jay coding, and then the platforms came in with YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. So it continues to work, and then you're just calling this action out here, which batches up its changes and pushes them in there.
Yeah.
Okay. It'd be kind of cool to like const equals batch. I don't think this will work, but whoops. Oh,
no, I don't think that'll work.
Yeah, because it won't pass through like this. You could do I guess you can do it that way.
Yeah, that would work.
Prettier kind of malforms it, but because it looks a little better that way, I guess. But yeah, very, very interesting. Very interesting. So this is amazing. By the way, get rid of hydrate there.
Awesome.
This is really, really cool. Now, with Mobx state tree, we get all kinds of like you get a bunch of features. You get I don't know where to even start. So views, it's not a big deal. Views is pretty straightforward here. Let's say we wanted a view. So this should be relatively, actually, I don't know. Can you do this? Get, let's say formatted platforms or all platforms. Let's do this. Whoops. return this dot platforms dot join. All right. So I do need to make a change every time I do this to the tsconfig target ES5. Okay. So all platforms. I'm really curious.
I am too. I don't know what this would be bound to in that function.
Yeah. So,
I mean, we could make it work for sure, but I don't know what it's going to do right now.
Right. This is just, I'm trying to like replicate what we have in Mobx state tree and see where we hit the edges here.
Yeah.
So this is a string. Should be a string. Why does it say any? Does it not know what platforms is?
I think it doesn't know what this is.
It doesn't know what this is.
If you put in streams, if you use stream state instead of this, that might work.
Oh. Yeah, it's not liking that.
You could do empty array as string array.
Oh yeah. And then it still doesn't like it. So stream state turns into any when I'm throwing this guy in here. So, okay. So we're not going to get that necessarily. Now, that's not the only way to do it though. Because you can just do this. And okay, did not re-render that because it's not re-rendering the whole thing. So this is not observed right here.
Sorry, your share is just a little slower than.
Yeah, I'm going kind of fast. So my helper function here, this all platforms.
Yeah.
When I'm using it here, it does not pick up on the fact, even though we're an observer, does not pick up on the fact that we're accessing a thing here, like an array here. Although I guess, no, that's yeah. So now let me do it this way. Stream state dot platforms dot join, and then that still doesn't work, even though I have an observer around it. Do you know why that is? Why stream state dot platforms join is not tracking that platforms is being accessed there?
It might be that join is untracking it.
Oh. Really?
Yeah, hold on. I'm just looking through the code to see.
Because this is something I probably would expect to work.
I agree. And it certainly should work.
I do have a problem. All platforms designed, but oh, never mind. Yeah, it's just
no, join's not doing anything specific. I don't know why that wouldn't work. What if you put platforms.get.join? Does that work? Oh yeah, I know.
Yep, get works.
I know why. Because
works.
Okay, so get always tracks and it gives you the raw data.
Mm-hmm.
So what's happening is you're never accessing a primitive, and join should automatically track, but it does not. Map automatically tracks, but join doesn't. So I'll just add join to the list that automatically.
Oh, just that easy?
Yeah.
Okay, then that's just a simple little bug that you can fix or enhancement.
Yeah. So currently I have it set up so that every sum, filter, for each, and map track.
Yep.
So I'll just add join to the list.
Perfect. Yeah. So really any like basic array function method.
Yeah. So I was trying to just get all the loopers.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to use it for any of the setters, just the getters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
if I were to
calling the function, I think calling the function should work now if you just use get.
Interestingly, if I just throw in a map in between, then it tracks it.
Yeah, that'll work too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the .get always works. So that means that if I back up to where I had the all platforms, this will be fixed, by the way. By the time someone's actually trying this and watching the stream, this will be out, I'm sure.
I just fixed it, so the next update will fix it.
But in the meantime, if you have something like not updating, just throw get in there. Yeah, works. So this is basically a view now. The all platforms helper function is a view. What it doesn't do that Mobx state tree does is cache it. However, if you're doing just a dot join, I would not cache. I think that memoizing or caching is not necessary if you're just joining.
What is state tree cache?
Any views. Well, not any views, any getter views. So if you do a get, like if you say, like I had before, a get all platforms like that, and you return this right here, then it would cache the result and only update if platforms changes. So the next time that all platforms is called, it will just return whatever it already computed unless platforms has changed. And then it'll recompute it.
We can do that too.
You can?
So wrap that in, yeah. So make a call computed with a function that returns the join.
Where do I do this?
Inside get all platforms, return computed.
Computed. And then, is that a function I need to return?
Yeah, function that returns the join.
Interesting. Okay.
So that makes all platforms just treated as an observable. So then you could call get on that and it would be tracked. It does change this into an any. So we're confusing TypeScript. But if I do it where I was doing it, right here, then I get the benefits right now. Wait a minute. You'd probably just want to have all platforms be a const. Like const all platforms equals computed.
Really?
Because it doesn't need to be an extra wrapping function there. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know how many more times you can blow my mind, but that's pretty cool. So this takes the place of a view in Mobx state tree.
Kind of. Well, does Mobx have something called computed?
Well, I don't know about Mobx, but Mobx state tree does. I mean, it's just called a view, just views, but that's what it is. That's what a computed is.
Yeah, so because all platforms is an observable, that's going to do the thing where it just re-renders itself.
Yeah. Wait, why is this?
Unless that doesn't work.
So what am I getting back
here? Because it's a string, right?
Observable computed. Do I do dot value?
Yeah.
I do. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. That's not a problem. So dot value is to grab the...
What you had before should work. I'll fix that.
Really? You can fix that? Okay.
Yeah. I'm not actually sure why it doesn't work.
Okay.
Yeah. It's because it's not access, because it's at the root of a proxy.
Okay.
Yeah, I can fix that.
Okay. So there's a view. This hydrate state thing that we did is an action. And it's batched as well. So that's one of the cool things about actions is they're batched. Let's do an async action.
Okay.
Let's do like a status. Let's do like loading as loading or ready. Why is this? What? Cannot redeclare. Stream state's already been declared? Oh, it's because I have this down here. Okay. Fetch state. All right. So in this case, we're gonna like kick off a. Actually need like a promisified delay or something. Const delay equals. We've got a function. Let's go. The delay itself as milliseconds, and then a function, and it's a new promise resolve. Or wait. Resolve. I'm doing this by memory. Set timeout. Call the function after the milliseconds. Okay, so there's our promisified set timeout there. So await, delay. Actually, do we need we don't need the function. I just need to resolve. Okay, yeah, set. Okay, there we go. So delay set 1.5 seconds, and then we're gonna hydrate state here. So I'm gonna do this, and then what I'm going to also do is before that I'm going to go stream state dot status equals loading. Actually, I should set this to like status is I don't know, let's say pending or something. As pending. By the way, are you watching on the stream or are you watching on the sharing on ping?
Kind of both. The
okay.
ping one is really laggy, so sometimes Twitch is actually faster.
I'm gonna try sharing my screen again and see if it works better on Twitch. Or I mean on ping. Okay. So the reason I'm doing this is because Mobx state tree has a kind of annoying problem. By the way, is it not going to give me the... Okay, pending loading and ready. Okay, there we go. So it has an annoying problem that after an await, you're no longer in a batch anymore. Which is probably still the case here.
Yeah. No, but hydrate state batches.
This batches because we tell it to batch. But I'm talking about like if we were to batch the whole thing, which it kind of happens automatically in Mobx state tree. Just the fact that it's an action makes it a batch.
Right.
I'm getting rid of... I think I just need... So let's say that we're doing that. Okay, so...
function inside batch is not async.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, this would not work. Batch actually has a mechanism that after a timeout of 0, if it hasn't completed, it forces it to complete.
Okay. Which makes sense. I don't think that this is solvable without the same stuff that we do in Mobx state tree, unless I'm
What do you do?
Well, we go into a new action. So like this is an action, so then I would just make this an action as well. By action, I mean batched. We would batch both of them. That's what we would do.
Yeah, that works.
And of course, that means this will run, and then this will run. It reads okay, but the problem is that basically to really fix it, you would have to do this. And by the way, if you nest batches, is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so if I call this within okay. This is not okay. It's not, I shouldn't say it's not okay. It's not the greatest. So the reason, so the fix that we have on Mobx state tree is called a flow. In a flow, you would change this to function a generator, and you would wrap it with this function called flow, and then and of course this is all going to be broken, but you would yield instead of a wait, and then you don't need this anymore because it just re-enters it into a batch context here. So and of course you don't need to manually specify batch on that. I have a love-hate relationship with flows. Yeah, it's not my favorite, but it does the job, and then you don't have to batch stuff, or you don't have to manually batch stuff. I don't know if there's a better option here, is the problem.
Well, the other thing is there's begin batch and end batch.
Right. Okay.
Are the alternative to using batch, so you don't need the callback function. So then you could, after the await delay, you could put a begin batch and then put an end batch at the end of it. I don't think that actually solves the issue, but that's just another way to do it.
So you do a begin batch. That is an interesting alternative.
And that's what batch actually does. It just begins, calls it, and then ends it.
Are you serious? That's all it is? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. What would be the harm in not having that set timeout ending batch?
I don't know. It's there as an error handler, basically, that if you begin a batch and then there's an error so that it never finishes, it forces it to finish. Because you could get stuck in a state where you're forever in a batch that never completes.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's doing reference counting. So if you decrement at the end, then it just gets stuck.
Yeah. So it would never commit.
Yeah.
FlexBoss says, fix and ship it to production now. We are all watching. I assume he's talking about the fix you just made. What could go wrong?
The join one?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'll do that.
Be careful what you ask for, David. Jay will just do it. Okay, so let's ignore the batching thing for now. Yeah. Partially because I know it doesn't fully fix it, but React 18 fixes a lot of it. It auto batches.
Yeah, it does.
So if we refresh here, well, first off,
I just released an update.
This is not working. Why? Oh, because we're not calling it. That would be why.
Right.
Okay. I need to show the status. Or let's say, let's do this. Stream state dot status equals loading, or let's say, what was it? Done? No, what is it? Ready. Okay, ready. Then we'll make it black. Otherwise, we'll make it red. All right. And color. No, I already have that. Color. Oh, I need a question mark here, not a colon. Okay, so the status is like showing up. Loading stream, bang. Okay, we're there. But not as, like, we're just using it for the style. But so the cool things, just to recap, if people are watching, tuning in right now, these renders are not going up. By using .obs, you can have this just be like its own individual teeny tiny little observable there, or observer. It's just like pop, 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 just that one spot. It's inspired by Preact Signals, which Preact State or whatever just came out.
And also Solid.
And Solid, which is also inspired
by
Knockout
JS.
Yeah. Well, really, Knockout is it's the granddaddy of all this stuff.
Yeah.
We're reinventing Knockout over the top of React, which is fine. Like, I liked Knockout.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
There obviously were things that didn't resonate with people, but
well, one problem I read through their source at some point was every time you created an observable, it created a new anonymous function. So just creating observables was very bad for performance.
But using proxy
a new
here,
function with a bunch of anonymous stuff inside it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But that was like an implementation thing. The actual, like, yeah. Okay. So
the developer experience was fantastic.
Right. Right. So we were going to come back to that once we had the tools to do that. It was going to happen.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm going to drop this down here. All right. Don't need that. All right. So we have a view, we have actions, we have async actions. Let me try to think. Can you is there any middleware? Is there any way to like watch it and say, hey, when state changes, you know, like there is an observer that's not React.
There's an observe function.
And that comes from Legend App State itself. Okay, we're going to observe.
Yeah.
And then this is a function.
I think that's similar to auto run from Mobx.
Okay. And now within here, okay, similar to auto run. All right. We say like stream state. So let's say I just want to do .get here, console.log, and let's hit a refresh here. So every time it changes, we're getting we're logging.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Get is by default a recursive action, so anything that changes anywhere within state will trigger that. If you call get with tracking.shallow, then it won't be recursive.
Say again. Get.
Pass tracking.shallow as the parameter. to get.
I'm sorry.
It's
not like
no,
this.
sorry. It's imported capital tracking.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So that will track only if keys are added or removed.
Okay, yeah. It only did it once.
Yeah, so if you added a new property to it, then it would log again. If
it runs the first time.
It'll only, yeah, it runs the first time, but then it'll only run again if it changes in a shallow way, meaning that keys are added or removed.
Okay, I see. Yep. If they're mutated or the object is mutated, it's not going to... If the properties themselves are set, it's not going to re-render. Okay, that makes sense. So there's a few other things that Mobx state tree does. Well, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'll just add one more thing to observe. Similar to React's use effect, you can return a cleanup function from it.
Oh.
And so that's kind of interesting. If you have like, if modal is open, then do something, and then you return a cleanup function, that'll happen when modal's closed. So then you can clean up the modal, that kind of thing. So one thing that we have like that in Bravely is when you go offline, it pops up an offline toast. And so then when you go back offline, it cleans it up and just gets rid of the toast.
Oh, wait a minute here. You're saying it's like an unsubscribe from observe, or?
It runs when before observe runs again, basically. It's similar to the cleanup from use effect from React. So it runs before it runs again.
I think I can do that if I don't shallow track. Let me.
So I'm still trying to figure out all the ways it's useful, but we use it for booleans. So whenever it changes, it will get set to pending.
I don't think I have this. I don't think I'm understanding when this runs. So you're saying... okay, go ahead.
It runs before it observes. So I don't think this will do anything because it's always getting set back to ready.
Okay. Runs before it observes. Oh, I see. So it's like if something was already...
Yeah, so it doesn't run the first time, but then after the first time, it runs before the second time.
Okay, okay. So it's like, let's make sure that we're not double doing something.
Yeah, the example that I had in Bravely that I just did was that it creates a new toast object and pushes that to an array. And then the cleanup is it removes that object from the array.
Yeah.
So you can keep the local state for cleaning it up. It's kind of helpful.
Okay, that totally makes sense.
Yeah, but this is a brand new feature, so I'm still experimenting with it.
Yeah. So far. But I like how you're using the same like use effect style API there. Chanman says, yo, how much have I missed? A lot, Chanman, a lot. This will teach you to tune in at 11 a.m. instead of when you're supposed to, which is when it starts. Actually, what time is it there, Jay?
2 a.m.
Oh, geez. I'm glad you're a night owl because, otherwise I'd feel pretty bad. Levy says, can we coin the term legend stack?
I'm okay with that.
Legend state motion, Expo React query native what? Native wind?
Native wind. Oh, have you not seen native wind?
No, what's native wind?
Oh, go look it up right now. It's amazing.
All right.
Are you familiar with Tailwind from
the
web? So native wind makes that work in React Native.
Oh, and it's not Tailwind React Native, or is this like a rebrand of that?
It's a rebrand of Tailwind CSS React Native.
Okay. Okay.
So there's been a bunch of attempts at this. This is the first one that's actually good.
Okay.
Because it pre-compiles everything with Babel.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I see. Automatically. So you'll get styled. Okay. I have never gotten into Tailwind, even though I did a stream with Simon. Used to be their DevRel. And I did some with it.
I like it a lot.
Yeah, I know a lot of people love it.
Yeah.
Like once you learn the class names, like you're good to go.
One thing that I like is our developers are just completely cross-platform because when you have Tailwind on everything, all the styling is the same.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you have Legend Motion working the same as Framer Motion, all the animations are the same. And so pretty much everything's the same. So it's really easy to just go back and forth.
That's amazing. By the way, complete non sequitur, but my back is really hurting right now. Played basketball with my brothers and a couple cousins. They're all younger than me. And I'm 40. And I actually I was destroying my team. We were doing a 2-on-2 tournament. There were 8 of us, and we were playing really well. And then I made a move, scored, and then after that I came away from it like, oh crap, like my back. And when I woke up this morning, I'm supposed to get up and get the kids off to school, and I just woke up my wife and I'm like, you're gonna have to do it because I can't get out of bed right now. She brought me some Advil. It was bad. It's like, oh geez, seriously? Like I'm already, I felt good. I almost dunked a 10-foot hoop. I was like, dude, I'm almost 41 and I almost dunked a 10-foot hoop. That's pretty solid. It was close. I got up, the ball kind of rattled around a bit and then went down. It wasn't like it was, a clean dunk, but so I was feeling really good about myself. And then I made that move and my back went out. It was just just a pulled muscle or something. So, so yeah, ibuprofen and
you're powering through streaming anyway. That's good.
It doesn't hurt when I'm just sitting here. Well, it hurts a little bit, but it doesn't hurt too bad. It's when I'm moving around, but I need to move around in order to keep, the blood flow going and stuff. So after this, I'm going to go do some walking, just kind of try to get something. So,
geez.
All right, cool. Native wind. So a lot of people like to, Mobx State Tree comes with runtime type checking. However, which is then inferred as static type checking. First off, I assume you can pass through. Yeah, looks like you can. Observable. Let me think about this a little bit. I'm just. This is unnecessary because you're already doing the type of there. But let me think about this for a second. If I actually let me back up a second here. So I'll give you a little bit of a example of what I'm thinking about right now. Let's say that platforms were not strings, but they were actually a type of object. So a platform is it's going to have a name, which is a string, and it's also going to have a viewers, which is a number. And the other piece of this is I like to infer. Like if I had, what if this was like an observable as well? So like const YouTube equals observable, and we could just go YouTube and I need a comma. So we have YouTube, and then we just go like YouTube here. And then when we're doing our all platforms, we need to go dot I don't know, map. Okay, name. And the platform's value is right there, and we've got platform, and then this should be platform.name. So it starts with YouTube, and then I need to when I'm populating as well, I need to do platforms would be, we have YouTube already. But let's say that we wanted to platforms. Just thinking out loud here. YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, and then I'm gonna just go platforms. Or wait, I'll map these to an object. So this will be an actual, like, name will be that, and viewers will be 0. So I'm just kind of like creating a bunch of platform objects here. It looks like that worked. So you can create things like that, but like, so this was an observable already, and I dropped it in there, but it makes it into an observable later as well. What if something's already an observable like that? Like you're able to just handle that, or is that going to cause an issue?
So this is actually something that I just changed in 0.16 for you.
Oh, really?
I'm not sure what it should do actually, because I think what would happen is you're in a different tree of observables, so I think the path would be wrong. So I think this works, but like
it also looks like it's
if you
rendering
change something
fast.
If you change something inside of the YouTube observable, I don't think it would trigger the recursive listeners from stream state.
Okay, that makes sense. So
I'm not sure what should
if we
happen.
didn't make this, well, first off, I'm going to refresh here, see if it still does that. No, it's good. That was just an artifact of the hot reload. Okay, so if I got rid of, I mean, we could play with that, but
yeah, I think the problem would be that if you're listening just to stream state and you change the YouTube, I don't think it would trigger the stream state listener. But I haven't actually tested. This is just a theory. I added it like an hour before our call.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Because I think what should happen, I was trying to figure out how we would do views. I think you would want to be able to put a computed inside there, and that should work fine. The problem would be that if you put a deep object observable inside another deep object observable, then the tracking would get all crazy. But I think you should be able to put a computed in there. That should work fine.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Anyway, it's still up in the air. I'm not sure how it should work.
So
it needs to figure out a way to map observables through other observables and all that stuff. I don't know.
So we could why is platform just accepting this? I don't understand. I don't know what. I don't think this is a U problem. Why is TypeScript just okay with this?
I think map isn't as strict, is my theory.
Is that right?
I don't know. That's my theory.
Because it's coming back with this type.
I think it's okay because it extends platform because it has an extra type, right?
Oh, okay, so if I said hello, oh, now it's gonna complain. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So, so this is how you would handle type safety: is saying you would type of something. So in Mobx state tree, you can kind of define the shape before you create your first item, which I guess you could do with a type. So in this case, we can just say type platform equals, and then in this case, we go string and number. And in that case, you would just go as platform like so. Yeah. And now this is type.
That's exactly what I do, yeah.
Okay. So you would actually define your type separately. Okay. I think that's okay. Because this is really just taking the place of const platform model equals types dot model platform model, and then doing like name types dot string and viewers.
Well, is there benefit to doing it this way? Because then you would get the runtime type checking.
You do get the runtime. You get the runtime type checking, which is useful. Like but there's like what's that one called, the runtime type checking system that everybody likes now? I forget what it's called.
I don't think I've heard of it.
Chat, help me out. Runtime type checking. Zod. Thank you, Alevi. Zod. So this is this is actually the who's Colin Hacks? Colin McDonald.
It's Colin.
Do you know him?
No.
Oh, okay. Oh, and he also kind of came up with TRPC. So Zod, I think, takes the place of that a little bit. So you get static type inference. So I wonder if we could use this with, if you use Zod with legend state, I'm really curious to see if we could get both of those things. You must enable strict mode. Screw you, Colin. I don't want to.
Oh yeah, I need to. Okay.
I'm not a big strict mode fan. Okay, Zod. Well, let's try it. By the way, I realize it's getting pretty late for you. Jay.
Oh, it's all right. I'm enjoying this. It's worth it.
Yeah, cool. So we've got Zod. Import Z from Zod. Schema for strings. Parsing. And then this is where you do this. And you can parse it. And you can also infer. This looks so much like Mobx state trees thing. It looks so much like it. I wonder if he knew anything about Mobx state tree before he reinvented it. But this isn't like state management. So like you get this stuff. So let's try to do the platform thing here. So throw this up here. So we're going to go platform. And then in this case, it's going to be, what did we say? Oh, name, z.string. No, string. And viewers, z.number. No. Okay, so we've got that, and then we can say type, let's say platform, or I don't know. They're just saying
So
user?
does the Mobx state tree implementation make it so that whenever you try to set something, it checks the type of it?
Yeah. It's like
so this would have to be a kind of a middleware into whenever there's a set, it needs to check Zod.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
I mean, you could handle it yourself. I don't know if this is necessary, though, to be completely honest. I mean, it is a little bit. You got to check things, you know, at the API boundary. But, like,
well, one thing you could do if you don't need to, like, prevent invalid stuff is you could just have an observe that just, whenever it changes, check it.
Okay, fair. So parse, by the way. That needs to go away. So, and then we go, so this is where we have like platform, infer type of Z platform. So Zod now has that type. Yeah, it does it. Okay, cool. And then we can use Z platform now as platforms. So this should be 0. So this is actually where, so we have our TypeScript errors happening here, but runtime, it's just like, oh, okay, we're good, you know? So this is where we would want to watch it. So let's say that we were, let's say we were watching it. So do we still have our observe? We do still have our observe. So, stream state dot platforms dot for each, and this is probably not great because we're running it every single time.
Whenever platforms changes, yeah.
Yeah. But this would be where we'd go Z platform dot parse platform. Expected number receive string. Now, what you would probably do is have like a if, you know, in React Native, you'd do something like this, which, by the way, is what happens. Let's just say true for now, but let's say like a you know, or is dev, let's say. So is dev const is dev equals true. All right. So like you'd have a dev. Well, let's just do it there we go. And you just skip all this stuff. In fact, Metro would strip it out. So you're not doing any of that. Or actually, you'd probably, I guess, throw it right here. Just around the whole thing. So you're not doing any of that observing in production. And that's what Mobx State Tree does, too.
You'd put it up another level, right? Outside the observe.
Oh, fair. Yeah. Yeah, totally. And if you wanted to, you could do your Zod stuff around your whole state and just validate your whole state every single time. Yeah.
So what does state tree do? Does it has a middleware when you're setting that it checks it?
So when you're setting any, so each type of object, or sorry, each type of model, which can be a primitive or a more complex thing, like a number, string, or another full model. They have a setter that has a validation attached to it. The validator is like Mobx state tree, GitHub, and I forget exactly where this is. Let's go see if we can find it. Go spelunking here.
The thing I'm curious about is, does it prevent the set if it's the wrong type?
Throws.
Or does it allow it through, but just...
No, it throws.
Oh, it throws. That's pretty intense. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't. You can turn off type checking, runtime type checking, and it is turned off by default in production.
Right. Okay.
So...
Okay, then, yeah, that makes sense.
Let me see if I can find... this is one of the reasons why I am looking for a replacement for Mobx state tree, because the code isn't, it's a little inscrutable. Like, I've gotten to where I can read it, but like some of this stuff is just really, and then the other piece of it is TypeScript inference. The TypeScript inference is not, it does the job. It'll tell you when something's wrong. It just tells you in a massive, massive thing saying there's a lot, and it's just because you have one thing typed wrong.
Right.
So where is the, by the way, it automatically emits patches for, and this is, I forget the exact, the name for this format, but this isn't a Mobx state tree format. This is a patch format that follows a certain pattern. The operation, the path to the thing, which by the way is relevant to legend state, because you would also have a path. The new value and the old value, and you have a remove as well, and then you can do an on patch and watch that.
Okay, so legend state has there's an on change listener.
Yeah.
That gives you the new value, the previous value, the path, the new value at the path, and the old value at the path. So I think you could do all that same stuff.
So the node would be all platforms. No, not all platforms. Stream state. And then...
Oh, no, it's all platforms dot on change.
Oh, you mean stream state on change?
Yeah, that too.
On change what?
That's it. Then it gets a callback.
Because I did actually end up bringing in an on change from here. Can you wrap it? It looks like you can.
I probably shouldn't be exporting that.
I don't think it's a problem. Is that an issue?
It is, because it expects a node value, which is not what that is.
So this is internal. This is internal leakage.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna not export that anymore.
All right. Jamon.
So you would want to add a bunch of parameters there. So the first parameter to the callback would be the new value. The second one is a function that gives you the old value. And then there's the path and the new value at the path and the old value at the path.
Say again. I guess I got it here. So value. Man,
that's a pretty intense
get previous. It's no, that's fine. It's just because it's a big thing. Path.
And it's path.
And value at path. And previous at path.
Yeah.
And node.
You don't really need the node. You can ignore that one.
Right. It's just giving us lots of information about what's happening here. So if I were to,
for example, if you were to change platforms at index1.name, you would get new value would be the whole object. Get previous is a function that returns the whole previous object.
Okay.
Path would be platforms one name as an array. And then the value at the path would be the new name, and the previous path is the old name.
Like so? Path would be that?
Yeah.
Would it be a string?
Yeah. If you change the name on the path at index 1, that's what the path would be.
Yeah, right. And then you'd have the value at path is the new, like, let's say, I don't know, Netflix. We're on Netflix now.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So this definitely replaces on patch. That's what that replaces right there. So, okay, cool.
Yeah. And just get previous is a function because it would have to do a clone. We don't want to just be cloning stuff all over the place, bad for performance. So only if you really need it, you can call
it. Say again. Oh. Yeah. Okay, gotcha. That's why that's a function. That totally makes sense. But it replaces on patch. You could actually generate the exact same patch that we're generating with Mobx state tree with this then.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yep, that's very cool. In a way, I feel like we could, with legend state, we could replace Mobx state tree almost exactly without, it would be a different API. But that's okay. Because actually the builder pattern, hey John Major, the builder pattern is, actually let me talk about that in a second here. Z Jamon says, hello, is your name Jamon? Because in Latin America and other Hispanic countries that means Jamon. No, I know what you mean. Jamon. It's weird, I know, but hey, my nickname is Z Jamon because of that food, ham. Curious fact, of course, part of a good afternoon. I appreciate it. Where in Latin America are you? Z Jamon. Jamon. Yes, I am aware of that. I have heard that a few times in my life. So I'm just, it's not that I have to replace it. It's just that we use all these things, and I'm curious how many hoops do I have to jump through to get there, you know, to get back to what we have with Mobx state tree. Yeah. Right now, we're at 128 lines, and I've pretty much replicated almost all of it. Now there is also there's like references, which is a whole another ball of wax here. References are really interesting because references can be essentially the way they work is it stores an identifier. So Mobx state tree has a concept of an identifier. So if you were to define it here, you'd have like z.identifier. It's not a thing with Zod, but you could do that. And you could also have identifier number. That's a string and this is a number. So what this does is it lets you in somewhere else in the tree be like favorite platforms, and then you would have an array of identifiers. But if you were to say stream state dot favorite platforms dot for each, you're not getting an array of identifiers. You're getting the actual objects at the other node.
Why would you not just use the objects there?
Because then you're duplicating it. You have all your platforms and then you have your favorite ones. So you're normalizing the data by keeping all your platforms here. And then you just refer to the identifiers.
In memory, they're just references, but if you persisted, then it would be duplicated, right?
I'm not sure I'm following. If you persist,
But if you have an object and you put into two different arrays, in memory, that's two references to the same object, right?
oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. So you can use JavaScript references, is what you're talking about, rather than the identifiers.
But
when you persist it, it serializes
to
it.
String the whole thing.
If you serialize it, you got a problem. Yeah. Where when you do get snapshot with Mobx state tree, it will return an array of identifiers.
Yeah. So I guess the equivalent would be the get here would return the whole thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, one way to fix that, let's say that you want to have this sort of behavior, is to have a helper function, favorite platforms, and then you would say stream state dot favorite platforms dot map ID, and then you would go stream state dot platforms dot find p dot id equals ID.
So I
think I'm done.
Does the reference just...
So you can grab all your favorite platforms right here, and you're actually from the identifier just grabbing the platform and returning it.
Yeah.
And now you're good. You're done. Like there is no. So you just say a string. And here, I'd probably just go back to string because I don't need to know that this is an identifier. Now, Mobx state tree does some stuff under the hood to make it not an, what is it? Oh, whatever the operation is. That basically make it so you don't have to loop every time. Yeah.
Yeah. They keep a map, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Or a set or something. Yeah, I think it's a map. Yeah.
So,
is
it? So I'm just trying to understand how reference works. So, if favorite platforms was a reference array, if you just get it directly, does it just give you the IDs?
If you're getting it on the Mobx state tree instance, it will give you the platforms, the actual platforms, like the objects. So you'll get an array of objects.
Proxying it.
Yeah. But if you serialize
so when
it,
you access that, it proxies it.
When you serialize it, it changes it back to strings, or it only returns strings.
How does it know you're serializing?
You're calling get snapshot on it. That's how you serialize. Okay. You have a function called get snapshot.
Okay.
But if you were doing just like JSON.stringify, then it would, I don't know what it would do. I haven't tried it. But that's not how you would want to do that. Yeah. So you have a special function for serializing. I don't think this is necessary. Like I just demonstrated how to replicate it in 5 lines of code.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably something that could be an add-on. I don't know if it necessarily has to be a core thing.
No, no, not at all.
It's just a proxy.
To have a proxy,
you just need to define what that proxy is, right? But then you need to have kind of a modal interface to it, where sometimes you can get the platform, sometimes you get the IDs.
Exactly.
Depending on what you're trying to do.
Yeah, depending on what you're trying to do. Exactly. I don't think that's necessary. I think you store it as strings. This is for normalizing. And honestly, references are one of those things that are kind of tricky, because here's an example. Let's say that platforms right here is like, let's change platforms. Well, no, I'm going to add another thing here. Comments. Okay. As comment. And then you have like pinned comments. Or let's say focused comment. So you like click on a button, or you click a button in your stream and it focuses that comment. No, that's a bad one too. Let's just say favorite.
Yeah.
favorite. I want to say favorite comment though, not multiple. I mean, this would work with multiple as well, but this kind of demonstrates a little better. So, what did I do? Okay, so type comment equals any. I don't care. So here's where it gets weird. Let's say that you have 1,000 comments per minute. Like you are a very popular streamer and it's just zip, 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 zipping by. And you have some optimizations to drop comments off as they go off the screen. You know, like eventually like they're going to drop off. And you can load them if you go back in the back scroll, but they'll eventually go away. What if your favorite comment is no longer in your comments? Now you either have to save a copy of it or you need to somehow keep this around until it's no longer favorited and then it can get garbage collected or whatever. So what I've done is, and I have a library to make this easier, but I have like a comment pool. And then this is string. So these are just identifiers here. So when you have you can have an identifier here and here. So the comments, like the feed that you're actually looking at. So this comment pool would be anything in the feed, any favorite comments, any comments that are referenced anywhere, any identifiers have any reference to it, and it just keeps them, and then it garbage collects and gets rid of ones that no longer have references to them anywhere. So that's kind of how I handle that.
Comment pool would want to be a map probably, right?
That's probably better. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. A map would totally work better. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. So anyway, that's beside the point. I have a thing called MST reference pool that I created that lets you kind of like, you just add this with reference pool thing, and then it like handles a lot of it for you. So then you can just kind of manage it a little easier. It's this, that's beyond the context of this. I'm just trying to find ways where we would start running into, well, we miss MST, you know? And I don't really think that references are one of them. I really don't. 'Cause I feel like this fixes it right here. Like you can just store IDs. And you can have a big thing there, and yeah, I don't know. It just feels like you can just do that.
One thing you could do is you could put a computed into the observable.
What do you mean?
So if you had, so like if you had favorite comment ID as a string, then you could have favorite comment as a computed that gets the.
Okay. So how do you do that?
So
you'd have favorite comment ID.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get rid of the pool thing.
Favorite.
Let's forget about that. Let's just make these comments. Okay.
So then make another object that's favorite comment is computed function, and then have the find in there.
Comments find c.id is stream state dot favorite comment ID.
Yeah, that should work.
Cannot access stream state before initialization.
Yeah, that's probably true. I think I need to find a way to get this into there, or self or something. Um,
Could you just pass it here? Well, no, because this doesn't know it's part of this.
Yeah.
That's where this kind of builder pattern comes in, where you're like, well, okay, and then we're going to have like computed here. And it'll pass in self, and then we'll return this. But, you know, I don't recommend this.
So go back to where we had the computed. If you just do stream state dot assign.
Where? Oh, let me back up to that. Okay, so you said we had and self doesn't work here, so
you take that and then do stream state dot assign object and then put that in.
Or do I need to go?
I'm lagging behind you on the video here.
Object like object dot assign?
Oh no, sorry. After the stream state, just
yep.
So after stream state is created, do stream state dot assign.
Oh, I see. Just take the favorite comment out.
Yeah.
Object dot assign.
No, not object assign. Stream state dot assign.
What is assign?
It does basically the same thing. It assigns into it, but you can't assign directly to objects. So object.assign is blocked by safe mode. So using assign works. It's complaining because that doesn't fit the type of the observable, because it doesn't have a favorite comment. Just put a TS ignore on it. We can try to figure out how to make this better.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, yeah.
I think down one line.
I'm breaking something. Oh, you got to go on. Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm missing something.
You're missing.
Parenthesis.
No curly brace.
Yeah, I got it. Computed there.
Okay. So that adds the favorite comment to the observable. So that's a kind of a way to do the builder pattern.
Yeah. It does not pick up on it.
Yeah, it's not part of the type.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So, but we could get that. We could even do this, hey? Maybe not.
You could
because it
add favorite comment as undefined on the original, or as an empty function, and this will override it. I mean, this is just TypeScript issues. Not a huge problem. We can figure that out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm not worried about that though. Like what I had before. So if you have like a function, or would you say const here equals all of that?
Yeah, that works.
So to me, that makes more sense. Because this is a view.
Yeah.
Demonstrates references alternative. So a view, essentially, this computed view, that would grab the right comment based on the string. That makes sense to me. So invalid type. Oh, Zod is telling us, hey, you can't do this. Your platform is not right. It's because I don't have this ID here. So So, oh, and then I did get a string because I purposely was like messing it up here. Viewers should be 0 here. Well, let's wrap it up, Jay. But this has been absolutely fantastic. I am blown away. It's further along than I thought. Like, it seriously is. It's further along than I thought. There's a lot here. This is really good. This is really good. I could totally see this being a replacement for us, and I'm trying to figure out where the edges would be. Like, I'm thinking like some of our big ones, like Mobx State Tree is what's powering our Gas Buddy rewrite that we did over the course of 2 years, basically. I'm thinking to myself, like, could we have used it? Probably. Honestly, probably. It's got a ton of nodes and you know, those stores are giant and stuff like that, but you know, like, feels like this would scale.
Yeah, and it should scale a lot better, I think.
Yeah, speed wise, you've focused a lot on performance and
very much, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm actually thinking about writing an article about how you should replace useState with this.
Yeah.
Because I think it might actually be faster than useState, because useState as a hook creates a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
So in like Bravely code, we have replaced quite a bit of useState with just this, and then there's also some auto bind functions, which kind of goes back to Knockout, having some two-way bindings.
Yeah.
So you can just have an input that's bound to an observable, and then you don't have to deal with like setting the value in the on-change handler and keeping a ref to it and getting the value off the ref when you need it. It just updates the observable. And then anything that watches that observable also renders.
Just immediately. And then whenever you hit submit, you just grab it from the observable.
Yeah. So like we replaced all our forms. Instead of having a bunch of useStates for the values or having a bunch of refs for all of the inputs, we just have an observable and then pass all the fields through to the inputs.
Michael asks, any issues with React 18? And we were just running it on React 18, so seems fine.
There may be some issues with concurrent mode. I'm not entirely sure because this is just running off of the state. And so I don't have a great understanding of this at this point, but I think it might get what they call tearing, where like state's changing as it's rendering or something.
I see.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I think the way that you're supposed to do that is you, at the beginning of render, you just clone the whole state and then work off the clone, because state could change as it's rendering or something. I'm not entirely sure, but if Mobx is able to handle it, then we could handle it too. I'm not sure how an observer could do that though.
As far as I know, Mobx's stance is, if you see a problem, report a problem. But until there's a reported problem, we don't have a problem.
I think that's where I am too. Because we're using it in the Bravely web app, which is React 18, and it's been totally fine.
Yeah. That's a really good question, though. He says, I have an old React Native app built with Mobx. Might consider switching to this when I attempt to switch to the new React Native architecture. I mean, if you're using actual Mobx, not Mobx State Tree, this should be a pretty straightforward switch out because the API is very similar. There's basically analogs for almost everything, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, it seems like it.
And Mobx React
accidentally recreated it.
Yeah, Mobx React Lite and this, the Legend app /state/React have the same API. So, I mean, other than things like the computed higher order component and stuff like that, but you can I think there's one called observe. That's the same as computed. That comes from you can basically find a analogy for everything.
I think Mobx has auto run, which is similar to Legend State's observe.
Observe, yep, auto run. Yeah.
I think Mobx has when also, and Legend State also has a when.
What's when for?
It's when a value becomes true-ish, then it runs the next function.
Oh. Interesting.
So
okay.
You give it an observable or a selector,
mm-hmm.
and whenever that returns true, then it runs the function. Or it returns a promise. So you can await some observable becoming true-ish.
That's pretty cool. So then you could wait for auth status or something like that. Yeah. I think I have seen it. I haven't used it myself. It becomes, in Mobx State Tree, it becomes very cool in like a flow, because you can have these long running flows that like literally like manage modal status and stuff. Like when you're logged in this status, it's what David Khorshid doesn't like, which is basically building a state machine from the parts and pieces rather than having something more formal. Have you tried this with any sort of X state or anything like that? To see how it would kind of integrate with that?
I think X state has such a much bigger goal. I'm not sure how it would work. But
I tried it with Mobx. And basically what I did was I allowed Mobx to handle all the rendering and re-rendering, and then X state was orchestrating the changes to the observed object. So it would move into a new state, and then to update the state, because there's internal state for X state, but you can observe that and like make that into an observer, and then have that just drive everything automatically. As soon as the state changes, then everything re-renders where it needs to at the nodes, at the leaf nodes. But it was a little more complicated than I expected it to be, so I didn't actually pursue it any further. But I know there's something there, and I think the kind of complexity, what David would say. Let me say it the way that he would say it. It exposes the complexity that's already inherent in your app. It makes it explicit.
Okay.
Basically. Because now you have to explicitly say, yes, we're transitioning from this state to that state. Where before you could just make changes to properties and you'd get into a new state and you wouldn't really know you're in that new state. You just kind of like arrive there. So I think he would probably, that's what he would say. If you're being less kind of purist about that, it feels more like I have to jump through a bunch of extra hoops to do the same thing I used to do in it really quickly, easily. It's not as easy. I agree with him to some degree. Like you get into these weird, like you're missing states, or you're in impossible states. That's another one, where like you shouldn't be able to set this and that, but you can, stuff like that.
Right.
So yeah.
I guess makes it more safe.
Yeah, but if you're good at normalizing your data and your state, I feel like you can avoid a lot of that. But I don't know. Michael or Michelle says, just need decorators. I don't think we want decorators.
What would be the purpose of decorators? Is that to support class components?
Yeah, if so, then I'd stick with Mobx. Seriously. If you're wanting classes, I wouldn't. Why bother? They've got all that stuff fixed, and honestly, Jay, you should not try to.
Okay.
Oh, I have a phone call. I need to grab this phone call. So, or maybe let me see if I can ask them to call them back. thanks. I haven't got a good way to mute on everything, but I could mute on stream really fast. But I need to figure out all this stuff. It's a the new setup here. I don't have my Stream Deck. Well, I do, but it's not working with the new OBS. So, and I actually don't remember where I had my volume, so maybe it's off now. So let's see here. Mateo says, I've created a library with Mobx, Mobx easy form, and I split stuff into state, computed, and actions. Works great. Old school Mobx classes for stores is what Michael says. So it's just my opinion. Like, why bother with old school classes? This is the Legend State is forward looking. That's my opinion. Use Mobx if you want to use classes.
So there's the stuff we went through in the beginning that doesn't even need observer. So that stuff could work with classes. Just like render straight into the React.
Oh yeah.
But we could potentially make a class that would work, like a base class or something. The original Legend State from 2015 was all classes because there were no hooks back then.
Oh, wait, you mean you've had this?
Possible.
You've had this since then?
I mean, I built an observable-based state system in 2014.
That was what you're talking about. It was kind of like the early version of Legend State. Okay.
Yeah, but those were all observable classes.
Yeah.
And every observable was an instance of a class and stuff.
And that's where decorators start making more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't really see the point.
Yeah. I think I mentioned to you when I met you that Mobx looked very similar to the thing I already had.
Yeah.
That I'd had since 2014 or something.
Yeah. If you look at Mobx...
This new version is way better, though.
Yeah, yeah. And like the modern Mobx is more like this.
Yeah.
But what we need is a replacement for Mobx State Tree. And I feel like what I see here, it feels like we could do that. Now I would have to see what does it look like when you get a lot of stores, a lot of data, a lot of references that we talked about, you know. Is there a way to not observe a leaf node?
Yeah, if you call .obs on it, so there's two ways. Obs will give you the observable object for it, and it does not track, unless you use the parameter true, and then it does track. Otherwise, you can call get with false, and false means it does not track.
Okay, makes sense. And what if you have a leaf? So we have our stream state, for example, and let's say that title, we don't like, we're gonna set it at the beginning. We don't want anything responding, or it's just where I guess we would just make sure we're using dot get. No.
Like you want to set it without it notifying anything?
Yeah. Okay, so let me actually give you the use case because I think it makes more sense. So let's say from the API we get an object that has a bunch of internals that we don't care about because we know it's never going to change. It's read only. When we do update it, we're going to replace, it's going to be a shallow, it's going to be like just the property will change with a whole new object. But I don't want that object to be like, don't mess with it. Don't add proxies. Don't worry about it. Is there any overhead, first off? Like, do we have to worry about that? Maybe it's not a problem.
There's a bit of overhead in accessing through the proxy. It's a little bit slower than accessing through a raw object.
But
so
we could do get on the, so let me actually get back to, sorry, we're jumping into, yeah, if you don't mind, really quick.
Sure, yeah.
I'm going to switch back to our coding view for a second.
So yeah, get gives you the raw object. And so then you could work through that.
Giant bag of data, just a bunch of stuff, okay? As any. Literally, we're typing it as any because we don't care. Like, it's just a bunch. you know, it's just a bunch of crap and we don't really care and we're not watching it, whatever. So then if we were to want to find it, we would say stream state dot giant bag of data dot get dot some dot long path to property, right?
Yeah.
And now this stuff is not at all observed.
That's just the objects.
Yeah, so this stuff's not observed. But if giant bag of data gets changed, it re-renders. Like if you reset this. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
So that would be
you could also use that for like if you're listening to a profile and you don't necessarily want to attach a listener to the 10 different fields inside the profile, you can just say listen to the profile and then get me everything off that. Because there is also a small bit of overhead for adding listeners. Okay. So it's best to keep them as tight as possible. So if you can listen to an object instead of 10 children, it's a little bit better.
Okay, that makes sense. So there we go. So this is the replacement for types frozen. Is essentially get it, and then you can just grab the property. Okay.
And then if nothing listens to it, then changing it wouldn't really do anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah.
And then also it doesn't create the proxy until you access it. So if you're always calling it with get, it's never going to go through proxying some long path.
Yeah. Yep. It will never. So it's lazy for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It creates the proxies as you access the field.
Oh, that's really good to know.
Going through the proxy anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really good to know. So some long path to property. So something like
at the point that you've created the state, there's only the proxy for the root, and proxies get created as you access the fields.
That is super, super useful to know. And it makes sense because like you're going to know every time that one of these, to get to this, you're going to have to go through giant bag of data. So then it can just create the next proxy and the next proxy. That's a really neat optimization. I like that. So there we go. Yeah, that's it right there. That's types frozen. Okay. I'm going to stop or else I'm going to continue keeping you forever.
I don't know what types frozen is, but yeah.
Types are frozen is, hey, we have something that we know isn't going to change. In fact, we're going to freeze the object. In dev, in production, we never freeze it because it's an extra operation that doesn't need to happen.
Yeah.
But so by freezing it in dev, we know if we accidentally try to mutate it, and also don't watch it. Don't make it observable.
Yeah.
But your way sounds better because like you specify right where you need it. .get. Now just reach into this thing we think is over there, but we don't really care otherwise, you know, like, and by the way, I still get type safety with what I just did. I still have type safety in terms of like static types. But if some internal changes, which it shouldn't, it's not going to re-render, which is what we want. So yeah, it gives you like fine-tuned right at the node what you want, how you want to handle it. Very cool. Well, thanks so much, Jay. I appreciate you coming on. I know it's super, super like early morning now for you. And this has been super, super cool. I'm really interested to try this out on a project at some point. I'll probably do it on like, maybe I'll do some like on a side project or something to get a little more experience. Encourage people in the chat to go ahead and give Legend State a try. It's super fast. It's got lots of cool features. And Jay, if you report an issue, says he's going to probably turn it around pretty quickly if it's something that's blocking. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. So yeah, thanks so much, Jay. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. This has been fun.
Yeah. I'm going to have you on again. Like, this is not the only time.
All right. Sounds good.
I'm going to stop the stream. Sorry about not getting to your question there, Michael. Maybe next stream. Just tune in. Derek says, thanks for staying up
Can
so
I
late.
answer?
Oh, yeah.
I'll answer it really quick. Talk to your customers.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. Talk to your customers. It's too easy to get heads down. And you need to know that you're working on the right stuff. Derek says, thanks for staying up so late. Legend State is awesome. It's legendary. All right. Stopping streaming. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you maybe next Monday. I don't know exactly when our next stream is.